I don't think Hispanic people overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. And I know there are going to be some of you guys that are like, we saw the voting data. We know that they did. No, if you didn't hear what he just said in Iowa, I think we've been played hard as fuck. There was just a rally with Donald Trump in Iowa where he said that he stole the election so good the second time that he's going to do it a third and a fourth.
After a rigged election, we had a rigged election. I said, do we do it again? And I said, I think we better do it again. Not too many people who would have said that, but we did so well the second time. I said, well, we won twice. We got to do it a third time. Should we do it a fourth time?
Look, everybody needs to hear this, but especially Texas. I want y'all to meet Lydia Martinez, 87 years old, former educator. She lives in San Antonio, Texas. Tuesday morning, 6 a.m., knock on her front door. She thinks must be a neighbor who needs to borrow eggs or maybe has an emergency. So in her nightgown, she goes and answers the door. And what does she find? 9 officers, 7 of them men, some with guns in their holsters, who pushed open her door and marched into her living room. I got scared, she recalled in an interview on Sunday, speaking in both English and Spanish. They told me, we have a warrant to search your house. I said, why? I felt harassed. Before I go further, why do you think police were at her door, 9 deep, with a search warrant? What do you think they were there to talk to her about? I'll go ahead and give you this hint. Nothing to do with immigration or her immigration status. Not that at all. I'll give you another hint. She's part of a Latino-focused civil rights group that helps Latinos stay engaged in politics. A big part of what she does is helping older Latinos and veterans figure out how to fill out their voter registration cards and make sure that they're all set up to properly vote. So what do you think they were doing at her door? Miss Martinez said that the officers told her they came because she had filled out a report saying that older residents were not getting mail ballots. She said, yes, I did. I go to a lot of senior events. I explain to them what they have to do. I've been involved in politics my whole life.
At 6 a.m., while most of Texas was still asleep, 9 officers surrounded the homes of 87-year-old great-grandma, not a criminal mastermind, not a cartel leader, a grandma in a nightgown. The banging of the door scattered the silence. What happened next has sparked outrage across the state and raised serious questions about democracy itself. This is true verdicts.
Up my phone. Wait, what happened in Texas? Good. I'm glad you're interested because I'm doing another block on it. So, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, okay? He has an election integrity unit. Good, but it depends what you do with it, right? A series of pre-dawn raids last week. Okay? We're in August, okay? There's what voting, you know what I'm saying? So, what is he doing? Well, who's he targeting? Elderly Latino Democratic volunteers and multiple Democratic politicians. Why? Because they have allegations and they say they have proof that there may have been a scheme to ballot harvest. What does that mean? People who go in and manipulate ballots, fill them out for people, collect them, and basically manufacture votes by duping people, okay? And they believe it was happening in, a serious election down there. And this happens to be one of the country's largest Latino populations, and it also gets serviced by one of the largest civil rights groups, LULAC, okay? And they say Paxton is doing this to intimidate Latino voters weeks before the election. Now, one of the people who was targeted, and this is what kind of pissed me off, an 87-year-old great-grandmother. Now, again, she didn't get a phone call. She didn't ask to come in with counsel. This was a raid on her, okay? And she's been a volunteer to register new voters for 36 years. Lydia Martinez joins us now. It is nice to meet you, young lady. I'm sorry it is under these circumstances, but I'm glad to give you the platform.
Thank you.
So, Lydia, let's get the main part out of the way. Are you here to admit that you have been breaking the law for 36 years, if not recently? Ballot harvesting that warrants people knocking on your door?
This has been terrible. I'm not guilty of any of that. I'm an old woman, retired from 4 colleges. And all I do, I'm in LULAC. And after I retired, I found that the seniors, I'm also a commander with the American Legion. And I found a lot of the veterans that are on wheelchairs and they cannot get out and vote. So all I do is take them the application to vote by mail, and I explain to them. They can write, and I explain to them exactly how to fill them out. It's a little confusing, and I go through the application, and I explain it to them. I leave it there, and it is entirely the responsibility to put a stamp on it and mail it. I leave. I never see.
Tell them who to vote for?
See the ballot again. No, sir. I do this at this time. There's nobody running. Nobody's running. I just make sure that they have it ready.
So, explain to me what it was like.
And I go to the senior centers for them to come
Lydia,
here.
explain to me what it was like for them to come to your house. What happened?
I get up early to go water my plants outside. I have a lot of flowers. So I got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, about 10 minutes to 6, and I wash my face, brush my teeth, and I take medication. I had just gotten out of the hospital the day before, on Monday the 19th, and I took my medication, and there was a knock on the door. The doorbell rang, and I thought it was my next door neighbor trying to borrow something. And in my nightgown, I went to the door thinking it's my neighbor, and they pushed the door, and 9 officers from the Department of the Attorney General rushed in and gave me a search warrant. And they came in and they told me to sit down where I'm sitting right here. And they told me they were gonna, 2 of them went into my bedroom and started searching, going through my bedroom. And I told them, I'm in my nightgown, let me get dressed. They told me no. They had 2 female and 7 men. They would not let me get dressed. And they set me here for 2 hours questioning me. It's the procedure of the mail ballot and exactly what I do. And dumb me, they never read me my Miranda rights. They never told me that I had the right not to answer.
Yeah, this is what happens when you can't beat them without cheating. This is exactly what happens. And this is how you know it's getting really, really close in Texas. Because the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, he's raiding Latino Democrat homes. Yeah, he's trying to scare off Latino vote in Texas because the Latino vote in Texas can turn things this election. If the Latino vote comes out strong and comes out for Harris, Texas will flip. There is more Latino voters in Texas than any other group. They are the majority. And so what is the white Attorney General trying to do in Texas? He's trying to intimidate and scare Latino voters. Instead of changing your ideas, instead of trying to do better and attract more people to your tent, no. That's not what the Republicans are doing in Texas. They are going around now intimidating Latino voters. But guess what? It's not going to work. The Latino voters are going to show up and show out, not just in Texas, but in Florida, all across the country. Latino voters have had enough. They've had enough of the Republican Party. Let me know what you think.
7-year-old grandma in Texas whose home was raided just because she is trying to help her fellow elders register to vote in Texas. It's mind-blowing what is happening in Texas right before the election. It is voter suppression. It is voter intimidation. Here's what the grandma had to say for everybody that wanted an update.
Election uproar brewing in Texas with a voting rights organization calling for a federal investigation. The League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, is accusing the state's Republican Attorney General of voter intimidation after authorities raided the homes of its volunteers over allegations of voter fraud. CBS's Omar Villafranca spoke with some of those whose homes were searched.
They scared the hell out of me.
87-year-old Lydia Martinez, who says she is LULAC's longest-serving volunteer, had her home raided as part of a voter fraud investigation by the Texas Attorney General.
We live in the United States of America. You're acting like a stapos. This is not Russia.
They searched this room.
Everything.
Martinez says up to 8 officers showed up at her home last Tuesday morning. They took her phone, her laptop, questioned her for hours, and made her wait outside.
I said, let me get dressed. And she said, oh, go outside.
What were you wearing?
My nightgown, and I had all these policemen around me. It was embarrassing, humiliating. I was so angry. It was horrible.
The raid comes after State Attorney General Ken Paxton recently announced an investigation into allegations of election fraud and vote harvesting, which began in 2022. The Attorney General's office said it had found enough evidence to obtain search warrants, which they executed last Tuesday across 3 different counties. LULAC's president says this is voter suppression.
It is evident through his patterns of lawsuits, raids, searches, and seizures that he is trying to keep Latinos from voting.
Yes.
Now, the organization is asking the Justice Department to investigate Paxton. In a letter first obtained by CBS News, they called his actions, quote, a serious violation of the civil rights of Latino citizens. Cecilia Castellano is running for a hotly contested state house seat and says officers executed a search warrant at her home.
Well, I believe that this is plain old politics, that the Republicans are just trying to suppress the voice of the Latino community, trying to suppress me. That's not going to happen.
In a quiet Texas neighborhood, Lady Martinez, an 87-year-old great-grandma, woke up to chaos. 9 officers at the door. She answered in a nightgown, confused. According to her interview with CBS News, officer entered her home and questioned her for hours. At one point, she pleaded, "Please, can I put on my clothes?" The answer, she said, was no. She was told to stand outside in a nightgown while neighbors watched. While officers scattered her home, they took her laptop, her agenda, even her cell phone. Why will nearly a dozen officers execute a warrant against an 87-year-old grandma? Because she registered senior citizen to vote. Martinez is connected to the League of United Latin American Citizens, better known as LULAC, the largest Latino civil rights organization in the United States. LULAC now accused Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton of intimidating voters. Paxton's office claimed there is evidence of voters' fraud. Warrants were issued across 3 Texas counties. Homes were raided. Many of the targets were volunteers, many in their 80s. People whose mission helping seniors vote. According to a report, Martinez has filed a lawful complaint stating that many seniors were not receiving the mail-in ballot that were entitled to. Instead of investigating the ballot issue, authority investigated her. Voters said this is a voter suppression. The Attorney General's office said it's an election integrity enforcement. But here is the question. When an 87-year-old grandmother needs 9 officers at dawn, what message does it send to volunteers, to elderly voters, to community already skeptical about access to the ballot. Texas has been in the center of its debate over voting rights for years, but this case has struck a nerve because of who were targets and how. Democracy depends on participation, and participation depends on trust. If volunteers fear raids, if seniors fear, if community feel intimidated, what happened to turnout? What happened to faith in the system? This story is still developing. Allegations of voters' fraud must be investigated lawfully, but so much allegation of intimidation, and somehow in the middle of legal argument and political narrative stand, Lydia Martinez, a great grandmother who says all she wanted was for seniors to get their ballots. Credit to the original Stitches video used in this documentary. If you believe in holding power accountable, no matter the power, no matter the party, this channel is for you. Subscribe to True Verdict, like this video, share it with your community, turn on your notification so you will never miss critical story like this. Now, my viewers, do you believe this was legitimate election enforcement or a voter's intimidation? Should elders volunteer be treated this way during investigation? Where is the line between protecting election and suppressing participation? Drop your thought in the comments. Let's talk about it. This is True Verdict. Bye.